Let's speak live to the Culture Secretary, Lisa Nandy. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're announcing funds today for the repair and maintenance of local war memorials. Can I just ask, do you have any plans for the many memorials to fallen Commonwealth troops?
Yes, so this week you saw the Deputy Prime Minister pay tribute to all of the troops who served in our country, not just troops who served from the United Kingdom but across the whole of the Commonwealth, and we owe them a great debt. The war memorials that exist across our country pay tribute to veterans across the board. We are absolutely crystal clear that it is not an acceptable situation that so many of them have been able to fall into neglect and disrepair, and that's why we're announcing £2 million today to make sure that we, in every town, village and city, that children growing up there understand the contribution that their grandparents and great-grandparents made to protect our peace and freedom, and that we pay tribute properly and restore those monuments to the condition that they ought to be in.
Thank you. I understand your time is short this morning, so can I just come straight to the point that I think a lot of people in the country will be thinking about this morning? Do we know how many wrongly released prisoners are currently being hunted? The number we are told is 4, but can you confirm that?
Well, in terms of the numbers that have been released, the figure that is publicly available is 4, but I haven't had any discussions with the Justice Secretary about that this morning. What I can tell you is that under the last government, for quite some time, there were on average 17 wrong releases. Under this government, that has risen, it's 22. That is completely unacceptable. It was unacceptable before, it's unacceptable now. Even 1 is too many, and the Justice Secretary is gripping this by appointing Dame Lynne Owens, who is the former director of the National Crime Agency, to make sure that we really grip this, starting with the antiquated paper-based system that was developed in the 1980s that is still being used, building new prisons and making sure that we have additional checks so that people aren't wrongly released.
You say that the Justice Secretary is gripping this. When he was asked this week about wrongly released prisoners at large, he refused to answer, didn't come back to the House when he had the opportunity. Does that evasiveness mean that, doesn't that evasiveness mean that it will be very difficult for any government minister to be believed on this question?
I don't accept that he was being evasive. I was in the House of Commons chamber
But he was asked
for
5
Prime
times,
Minister's
didn't
questions.
give an answer.
Well, I was there, Trevor, and I was sitting next to the Home Secretary, and I could see that he was weighing up in his mind what information to release. He was asked about an asylum seeker. The case in question was not an asylum seeker, and I think all of us as ministers have an obligation to make sure that when we do speak about matters of such significance to the public and put information into the public domain, that we do that with care and make sure that the full facts are presented. He was very quick then to release the details of the case, which, like I said, was not an asylum seeker, but is a very serious case, and he is making a statement to Parliament this week.
Forgive me, the whole point of questions in Parliament is for ministers to answer. Why didn't he just say, I can't tell you for this reason or that reason, instead of mounting an attack on the opposition for their supposed record? Why didn't he just say, I can't tell you?
Well, look, I'm known
he
as
had
a
information in front of him, which he could have read out. He didn't.
Look, I'm known as a fairly straight talker in politics, but I really strongly feel that if you, when you speak about matters of public importance, you have to take great care in order to make sure that that information is completely accurate. And if he'd taken the advice that you've just given, Trevor, and said that he couldn't say, can you imagine the reaction from journalists like yourself, broadcasters across the board? I think it would have increased.
Well, the alternative is what we've got now, which is that we are still talking about his performance at PMQs 4 days after. Wouldn't it have been simpler for him to be straightforward and say, I cannot tell you?
Well, as a government, what we're talking about and what we're doing is gripping the actual challenge. And the challenge is that the prison system was nearly full to capacity when we were elected just 16 months ago, where you've got a paper-based system that belongs in the 1980s, was constructed in the 1980s, that causes confusion, where you've got new prison places that just haven't been built over a really long period of time. We built 28,000 new places when we were last in government. The Conservatives added just 500. Now, that is not to make excuses. This is our problem now, and we are going to grip it. But I do want people to understand the seriousness of the situation that we inherited and the work that we're doing to turn it around.
So I'm sorry to rush you along, but I understand that you're having to go. But we can't let you go without asking you about the news this morning that the Home Secretary is apparently studying migration policy in Denmark as a model. The centre-left government there has imposed tougher restrictions on immigration, harder for asylum seekers to bring in their families. The authorities can even confiscate people's jewelleries on the street. Is that the kind of immigration system that your government wants to bring in?
Well, first of all, can I apologise that this is so short? I'm escorting the King to the cenotaph in just a moment, so I obviously don't want to be late. But
I will defer to His Majesty.
In terms of the immigration policy that you described, the Home Secretary makes no apology for the fact that she is looking at a whole range of measures to grip the chaos that we inherited from the last government, and she will leave no stone unturned to do so. We haven't made any specific announcements about specific policies, but in terms of asylum seekers making a contribution, one of the single biggest things that we've done in the last year is speed up asylum claims so that people who shouldn't be here are removed and people who can be here and have the right to be here can get on and work and contribute to this country.
But I know you know a lot about this territory. You wouldn't feel uncomfortable about the Denmark approach, would you?
Well, like I said, we haven't made any announcements about specific measures in Denmark, and we haven't discussed those as a cabinet. But I think the right of people to contribute who have the right to be here is absolutely well understood. I think the public would expect that from us, and we're looking at a range of measures to make sure that we can deal with the chaos that we inherited.
Forgive me, one last one. Do you agree with your colleague and I think she's a constituency neighbour, Lucy Powell, that the Chancellor must stick to the manifesto and not raise income tax, national insurance or VAT?
Look, we take our promises very, very seriously, and we did make specific commitments around tax in the manifesto. But we were also elected on a promise to change this country. And through the record investment that we've been able to put into the National Health Service, we're seeing waiting times coming down and more appointments being made available. On a whole range of measures, we're delivering the change that people want to see. We are going to have to make difficult decisions in order to do that.
With respect to your own time, I just asked if you agreed with Lucy
I'm not going to
Powell.
write the budget live on air.
No, I'm not asking you that. I'm asking if you
clear.
agreed with Lucy Powell or not.
Well, I agree with Lucy Powell that promises matter. I also agree with her that the situation that this government inherited is very challenging. We've got to make fair choices. And like she said, in answer to a question about this, she will, of course, always support the Chancellor to make the right decisions in the interests of the country.
OK, but I think the signal has been clearly sent. Lisa Nandy, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you.